Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2, and joining me today is Milan Jeftik 1992, Bill Worcester, aka Zazubar, the man that destroys cities on a whim, and coming back to the show once again is Deadpoolzilla. Hi everybody, how's it going?
Fantastic.
I'm alright.
I feel a cold breeze. I believe winter is coming.
Indeed.
Winter is coming. Actually, well, no, I mean, it's the end of summer, so it feels that way.
I mean, fall is coming, and then winter comes after that. So I suppose he's right. I mean, that's a fair point.
I would say winter is... Actually, the thing is, summer is coming here since the seasons are flipped on their heads here in Australia, so haha!
Oh, so it's winter over there right now, right?
No, it's summer now. It's turning summer.
Anyway. Alright, so, everybody, as you can tell, tonight's episode of Geeky Gentlemen is about the weather. No, it's about it's about season 1 of the HBO series based on the novels by George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones. Bum bum ba da dun dun da da dun.
I'm surprised we didn't do a Geeky Gentleman version of the Game of Thrones intro.
How do you know I didn't?
Funny you should say that.
Oh. This is gonna
Anyway.
be one of those kind of episodes. I can feel it. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Is this one of those kind of episodes where we're just going to end up killing each other at the end of this?
Well, something really kind of small is going to happen. It's going to turn into something really big, and one of us will be beheaded. I don't know which one it will be.
I think, I don't know, maybe we'll just have one of us sitting on the Iron Throne while the rest of, one sitting on the Iron Throne while the rest, they're decapitated and their heads put up on spikes.
Yeah, anyway.
If that's the case, then House Targaryen all the way.
Ha 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 ha.
Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I want to start with background. For me, I started watching the show about halfway through season 1 when it was first premiering. My father recommended it to me and fell in love with it instantly. Watched all 5 episodes that were out at the time in one day. Deadpoolzilla, how about you?
I started watching the show because, okay, you have to understand that when season 1 was coming out, I didn't have HBO at the time. But when I did get HBO, I watched the hell out of it because I heard so many good things about it, and I was like, I gotta try this for myself. I watched it, and then I watched through season 2, and then I started watching through season 3 until I lost HBO again. You know, money's a bitch.
Yeah.
And I love the show. I've never read the books, though. I've never read the books, and every time I talk to, Pop Culture Diva or Melina Pendulum or my other friends, Tanaka-Con 1985, they're all like...
Name drop.
Yeah, they're like, Zilla, come on. It's like I committed a cardinal sin to them.
I want to just say, before we go to Bill and Milan, since their stories are going to be significantly less interesting, I, too, have not read the books, and it's been killing me because I want to, but I'm making myself not, because I love the performances and the tone of the show so much, and how the actors portray the characters, and how the visuals are done and all that stuff. I love all of that so much that I want the plot twists to be as genuine as possible, so I experience it with the actors as they portray the characters. And it's been killing me because Game of Thrones is like the most there's all the spoilers in the world out there, and I could have them, but I must not.
Yes.
So, the thing is, Bill and Milan had just watched the show for this episode, so they don't have really a good story
Well, I
for
do. Well,
how
I
they
kinda
got
do.
into the show.
Well,
Well, hold on, let me finish. So they don't really have a huge story for how they got into the show. I'll let Milan go first with his, but more so I want to ask you guys, what had you heard, what did you know about the show before watching it? So Milan, go ahead and start.
Well, with the show, it's Game of Thrones, so the internet is basically buzzing with how great it is, and it's one of those things like you just hear all your friends babbling on about it, or just people you see on YouTube just like, oh, Game of Thrones, and you're like, I'll get into that one day, and you never do. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to pick up the first book, and I'm going to read it. And I tried to get through it, but I wasn't really in that whole medieval knights and armor type of mood. So I kind of dropped it, and not of my own volition, really. But then Ian came along and said, hey, do this thing for me. I'm like, all right, I'll do the thing for you. And I watched I literally 3 days. 3 days, I sat down and watched every single one of the episodes of Season 1 all the way through. I did not sleep for 48 hours, and it was amazing.
Way to throw Ian under the bus, Ian Milan.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, how about you?
I mean, pretty much the same thing here. Me and Milan seem to have the same attitudes towards these sorts of things. This is so not my thing. I'm not into all this medieval dragons, swords, and wizards and kings kinds of stuff. I have nothing against it. I just didn't grow up with it. There was a period in my life where I kind of was into it when I was playing World of Warcraft, but that was a very short phase of my life. But this show in particular, I had heard amazing things about. It was kind of the next big thing after something like Lord of the Rings, and was raved about, like, this is the next best fantasy series in universe, and oh, it's amazing television. And I was like, awesome. I have no interest in it, and nothing against the show. It's just not my thing. And I kind of appreciated it from afar as being, okay, good. I'm glad that something excellent is being put on TV. Yeah, so this was my first time watching it, and the same thing with Milan. I stayed up for 24 hours for me, with no sleep, watching it.
And whose fault? Like, let me just say, I was so pissed at these two, more Bill than anybody, because, like, I told these guys 2 to 3 weeks in advance that we're gonna do this, so they had plenty of time to watch the entire first season. And Bill puts it off until I get a text yesterday when we were supposed to record. Then, like, dude, I won't have time to watch it all. Can we push it a day back? I'm like, guys, 3 weeks.
He pulled a Milan, haha.
And, like, the funny thing is, I was talking to Milan the day before, the day I had to change it back to Friday again, and Milan's like, I stayed up all night watching them for no reason. I'm like, I don't feel bad for you. I give you so much time.
But the thing is, Bill, I genuinely love this whole old-timey fantasy thing. It was just, I was really in that kind of horror feel. So, like, you know when you go through moods, you're like, oh, I like horror now, I like fantasy now. But, like, I genuinely like this type of... And especially, this show it seemed like it was catered right to my needs. Like, I love medieval stuff. I love political intrigue. I love, royal infighting. It's just fascinating to me. And this show was just... It was just one of those things that just kind of put all the right things together. And it came out really well. And I like that they didn't kind of hold back and didn't let themselves be censored, both in language or content.
Oh, gee, because HBO is totally known for its censoring. Said no.
Oh yeah, totally.
Censorship.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bill, you seem to be the one with the dissenting opinion, just from your summation there. So, overall, real quick, general thoughts. What'd you think of the first season?
Well, just to clarify, those are my thoughts going into it. Those are not my thoughts after I watched it. Still not my thing, but this is a great show. It really sucked me in, which I didn't think it would, because everything about these kind of worlds was in here, and I thought that it was going to kind of push me away. you've got this dense world with all this thick, rich lore, and you've got these, knights and kings and lords and stuff, and that British, classical British way of speaking. And I was like, oh man, this is like Lord of the Rings again, isn't it? And here's how it sucked me in. Here's why most medieval fantasy does not suck me in. The characters are not relatable, and this is a blanket statement. I don't usually find them relatable, and I usually don't find them that interesting. A lot of the times these sorts of things are so focused on the world that the characters are just kind of there to fill it out. That is not what Game of Thrones is about based on this viewing. What sucked me in was the characters. What brought this world to life was its very interesting characters. And for me, the one that sucked me in was Alec Trevelyan. No, was Ned Stark. I loved Ned Stark.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to Bill in the middle of the week. I'm like, so how far are you into it? Oh, just like 2 or 3 episodes. I'm like, oh, how you liking, who's your favorite character so far? Oh, definitely Sean Bean as Ned Stark. I mean, that's a really cool character. I'm like, okay.
You just wait,
I could have cried. I was like, I no longer have a reason to watch this. No. But that...
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing about George R.R. Martin is he is the character serial killer. It's not like that he just kills characters, it's that he makes you fall in love with them and then brutally murders them in front of your eyes.
Hence the Red Wedding.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, he never killed...
Hold on, let me just say real quick. No spoilers past season 1, guys.
Okay. But the thing is with that is just, he always kills the characters you love, and just all the bastards keep on living, so much like real life.
So it's like real life.
Yeah. That's the thing, funny enough with this series, with the first season at least, all the characters well, not all of them, but most of them, like, the Stark clan are, well, the only really, sympathetic clan in this entire show. The rest are just backstabbing, scheming bastards that fuck each other. It's just
both figuratively and literally.
Yeah. The thing with that is just like they're so just these fucking despicable little princelings that think they should own the world. And it's disgusting.
Well, Milan, that's the thing. It follows the whole tagline of you win or you die. And if they're going to do anything, they're going to do anything to win. Hence,
I know.
This is why we saw the decimation of the Stark family. Their honor was the death of them.
Yeah. And that's
Dude, once again, Deadpoolzilla, nothing past the first season.
Come on.
Nothing past the first season.
Fine.
Because there might be people who watch this thinking it's a review of just season 1, and it's going to be. Alright? So nothing else past the first season. I want you to repeat it to me, please.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Ian is a dick.
Yes, but...
No, I thought I did repeat it. Alright, here I go. No spoilers past season 1.
Thank you. Okay.
There we go.
Gods.
There we go. Nice lad.
Let me ask, Bill had his pick of favorite character. How about you, Milan?
The thing is, I love Ned Stark, but that's like everyone loves Ned Stark. He's Ned Stark. But one other character that I grown to really love is Jon Snow. I mean, being the thing with Jon Snow, the last name Snow. All the bastards in this world, they all have the last name Snow since they're not of royal blood.
Only highborn bastards.
Highborn bastards. Only highborn bastards go by the name Snow. And I love Jon Snow because he's just so, he has genuine kingliness about him. Sure, he's a bastard, but he has some genuine, I would lead that guy, he seems like a nice enough guy. And the thing with Ned's, but the characters that are,
Milan, let's go ahead and go to Deadpoolzilla.
Alright, go ahead.
Favorite character from season 1?
It's a tie, actually. As much as I like Ned Stark, it's a tie between Tyrion Lannister and Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm right there with you. It's Daenerys Targaryen's my favorite. I've decided just because of the entire series, but in season 1 they're tied.
Yeah. I mean,
God, I love Daenerys. She's so cool.
She's definitely huge in this season, and season 2. This is not a spoiler, but it feels like her story kind of went nowhere in season 2, but then it kicked right back into action in season 3, and I really loved it here because and I'll talk more about this when we get to Daenerys, but I will say this for what it's worth with Dany, is that she rose from being a weak little girl who, didn't really know what to do to being this badass uber warrior chick woman who literally became the mother of dragons. And we have Tyrion, who very much he's a small guy, and as the original song from the book goes, he wears his armor in the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just love Daenerys because you get to see her character arc in this season, and then that leads to everything she does in the additional ones.
Oh yeah.
She's this character that definitely feels this sense of entitlement, and she's the only person with a legitimate claim to the throne, and everyone else is just grasping at straws here. And that's why I like her so much, is she's the only person with a legitimate claim, and she's the only person that deserves to be a leader.
Yeah, definitely.
At the time we get to the end of the first season. But Tyrion's also really awesome. He's just such a witty bastard. It's so cool.
Well, the thing is with Tyrion, and you see it more in season 2. Again, not spoiling anything, but you see Tyrion is much like Ned Stark, that he does have some rules to him. But the thing is, he's willing to cross the boundaries where Ned's honor kept him from doing, such things as, to keep himself alive and others around him alive. And, it was his, Tyrion is not a very honorable man, but he does have a heart of gold. You can't deny that.
He's a Lannister with the heart of gold.
But the thing is, with what's the white-haired girl's name again?
Daenerys.
With Daenerys...
Just call her Stormborn.
With Daenerys, like, she just started out as this meek little girl to be sold off to some, Baraki horse lord. And her, like, there's that scene where
it's Dothraki.
Dothraki.
We're not going to correct him every time, otherwise we'll just be here teaching Milan a fake language.
Okay. So there's this one scene, like, it's a very short one, when basically her bastard-ass brother... that's the thing. There's a lot of sister fucking in this show. Basically.
Well, go ahead and finish, and I'll mention something. Okay.
Basically, her brother is just kind of getting her ready, bathing her, and it's like he comes in and he strips her naked. It's like it's this really weird incestuous scene. That this girl was touched by her brother, and she doesn't like it at all. He's a repulsive little maggot.
Well,
and then
well, the thing is, the Targaryens in the book and in the show, it states that the Targaryens wanted to keep their bloodline fresh.
I know.
So that's kind of why that thing is. That's why the brother kind of condoned it to himself.
Yeah. The brothers, that's actually from history as well. A lot of princelings and royal families interbreed to keep the bloodline healthy, but instead they just deform into madness. So he sells her off to this Dothraki horse lord. And I love her arc because she starts as basically, a concubine, this girl that has sex with this, this gigantic Samoan dude. Well, he's played by a Samoan dude.
I think he should play Bane.
I think he should. Yeah, he should.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, basically she gets screwed by Conan, and that will change a woman. That will change a woman because, like, you can't get screwed by, Count Drogo and not grow some lady balls. And I love her.
The balls start to fall out.
No, basically, and she takes initiative because she basically wins his heart. She gets this other concubine to teach her how to, please her man.
How to ride a dick.
How to ride a dick, yes. And the way it just kind of turns out, they really kind of form this really kind of genuine love for each other. And, she's impregnated with the son of the Khal. And she's really comes into her own as a queen. And and I love that scene when she eats the heart, and her brother comes into her tent and tries to steal the dragon eggs. and the Silver Daddy comes in. It's like, what are you doing? And the guy just starts whining about, I never got anything half what she has. I'm gonna leave, you bitch. And
well, like, I don't know. I love that he's so upset that she's being admired. I think that's one of the few admirable things about Viserys, is that he doesn't just want to be king, he wants to be loved as king. Yeah. I thought that was one of the interesting things for his character.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't just want to be the king of Westeros. I mean, he's been on the run his entire life. He was, I think, he was supposed to be 2 or 3 when he was smuggled out of the kingdom.
Yeah, and him, his sister, and their cousin, well, yeah, they're technically their cousin or uncle. I can't remember which he is. They're the last 3 Targaryens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because, what's the thing? Like, the way he dies is so incredibly ironic. Because basically, he pulls out a sword and basically threatens the Khaleesi, the Stormborn queen of the. Well, basically, you know what happens. Basically, the Khal basically says, "Okay, then you want to be king. You want to have a golden crown." They basically orders his men to break his arm.
That men will tremble to behold.
Yes, and he basically puts him on his knees, takes his golden belt off, melts the gold down in a cauldron, picks it up, and basically all this time Khaleesi, the Stormborn, is just looking just with this dead-eyed look because she hates this motherfucker because she sees him finally for the worm that he is. Because when he pulls this stuff of shit before, she kind of has pity for him because he's blood and all that. But this she just lets Count Drogo pick up this cauldron of molten gold and tip it upon this bastard's head. And just molten gold on a man's face. And I love that sound that happens when his head hits the ground. When his head hits the ground, I'm like, chonk. I'm like, ah, death.
Yeah. All right, so Bill, you've been relatively quiet on her. What did you think of Daenerys?
She was really interesting because of all the characters in the show, she definitely went through the biggest arc of, she started out, and you guys said it the best, so I'm not going to repeat it, but, she started out as this, weak little girl, and she turned into this, basically powerful queen. And I think that it was a really cool arc, and it's weird because one thing that this show did that not a lot of other shows do, or at least do well, is they show you so many different characters doing so many different things that only vaguely connect to each other. And it somehow doesn't get convoluted to the point where it's just like distracting. And she was the biggest one because she's not even on the same continent as the rest of the characters.
Yeah.
And it was so surprising to me that of all of them, she felt the most, the most integral, or at least one of the most integral to the overall story of, she starts out as this weak girl and turns into this queen. I really liked her a lot. And God, that actress is sexy.
Yeah, that's the thing. She doesn't have a lot of dialogue. I mean, she most of the time she communicates with her eyes and her body language.
Her eyes are like...
Oh, yeah, her body language totally tells me what I...
No. I'm serious. She doesn't...
No, I am too. Trust me. I'm being serious. I think she's that she's easily able to convey a lot of things with just eye motion and body language. But when she does say something, it's totally to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a lady of few words.
Mm-hmm.
Although granted, she does talk a lot. She does talk a lot more in the previous seasons. Oh wait, I'm being forbidden to. I feel my choke chain being pulled by Ian.
No, well,
that's right.
Why do you have
That's right,
choke
man.
chain?
I'm gonna lead you behind my horse now, naked through the fields.
That was not a sight I had to see. I just had to imagine that now. Fuck.
It was funny. I was watching season 1 with Haley a couple weeks ago because she hadn't seen it, and she'd been like, "Oh, I've heard it's so good." I'm like, "Buy the seasons, we'll watch them together." And when that scene pops up, she goes, "Finally!" I'm like, "What?" "All the boobs, and finally I get a penis." I'm like, "Okay." Fair enough.
They show a lot more in the latter half. Like early on, it's a lot of tits. And then the latter half, it's a lot of cock. I wonder if there was a development there, if that was supposed to symbolize something.
I understand.
I don't know, but Bill, what you were saying about the scenes transitioning, I will agree with, but I think they connect really thematically if you start to pay attention.
Oh yeah.
Like that was my second time watching through season 1. Admittedly, there was a lot of space in between it, but still. It's just they tend to connect thematically, and the example I'm going to pull isn't from season 1, but I'm not going to talk about what happened. In season 3, there's this monologue that a character has, Littlefinger has, where he says chaos is a ladder. And you start to see all the different threads that have been going through the entire season up until this point that each connect to that. And I think that's kind of the culmination scene, but there have been plenty of other things where it kind of did that too. I think it's interesting that the show manages to juggle those so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
lizards crawl best through the cracks of walls. I get it. But the thing with the Khaleesi, I'm going to call her the Khaleesi now because she kind of becomes the queen by the end of the season. It's interesting how basically the tribe that she's with, they are not like this noble savage. They are raping, pillaging, warlords. And like basically
they're basically
Huns.
Attila the Hun.
Yeah, they're Huns.
Yeah.
They're such anachronistic Hun Puddins. But I love the fact that it's really kind of interesting because the witch who spoiler alert, Count Drogo is.
Oh yeah. Spoiler now. Where you already said Mother of Dragons. Spoiler now.
Yeah, the last
Anyway,
scene in the fucking whole season. It's like now we're worried about revealing that this chick's a witch.
Yeah, basically, the witch, the way she kills the call, and basically when the Stormborn confronts her about it, she basically says I saved you, and the witch kind of laughs. She's played like she looks a little bit like my grandmother actually.
Oh, there's a surprise.
No, shut up.
Wow.
The
claws just came out.
No, I'm serious. But the thing is, the Khaleesi, she says, I saved you. And the witch kind of says, like, I was raped by 3 men, like, before you even came to me. I seen the people that I lived with just butchered in front of me, raped and destroyed. I seen the head of a little boy I healed a few days ago laying in the corner. Don't tell me you saved me. You decimated my village. And so it's just like, that's the thing about the characters in the show. They do despicable things. They do horrible, monstrous things. And they're responsible for terrible things, but they're all so well developed, and the world is so well developed that you, as the series goes on, it seems like you don't hate them, but you hate them, but you understand them as people. That's the thing.
Let me say this: something I've tended to notice is that each family, let's kind of leave the Starks out of it since they're the angels of the series. Each family, or each kingdom, or whatever you want to call it, has a lot of characters that you don't like. Each important family has a lot of characters that you don't like, and then one character that you really root for. But because they're on opposing ends, like, you want the Starks to win the war, but you don't want to see Tyrion dead because Tyrion's awesome. You want to see Jaime, Cersei, and Tywin dead because they're all assholes. You don't want to see Tyrion dead, so you have to root for one side or the other, and it puts you at this really interesting juxtaposition of who you want to win.
Yeah,
it's
actually... I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Deadpoolzilla.
Go ahead.
The thing is, like, I'm glad you brought that up, Ian, because there are so many characters on so many sides that I root for a specific house, and like how I hate
House. Thank you.
Yeah, I hate Robert Baratheon, but I love Stannis.
Stannis is cool, though he's like I can see why people like Stannis. Let me put it that way, but he's not in season 1.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the thing is, like, I love how they build him up. That Stannis is this big. Like they mention, oh yeah, he's next in line after Robert, and then they kind of mention more and more that this is a guy you don't want to mess with.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
he's just a cutthroat, cold-blooded kind of guy. He's Ned Stark, but without the charm.
Yeah. Are we talking about Cersei's father?
No,
you don't see Stannis in season 1.
No, but that's Tywin, Milan.
Tywin.
Tywin is not a nice person, but damn, he's a badass.
Like the thing about Tywin is that, like, the way he's introduced, like, the very first time you see him, he's skinning a stag in this black leather apron.
So cool.
And
the symbolism of that really works because Robert's house is a stag.
Yeah.
Robert's symbol is a stag.
Right.
So there's something to read into there, buddy.
The thing with that is, it's so funny because his son is like, "Hey, I did this thing," and he's like, "You fuck up." It's like he's just like, his son's like, "I did good. Did I do good, Daddy?" And the father's like, turns like, "You're a fuck up. You're a failure in all things. You have such gifts, but you're just you complete fuck up." I just love.
Yeah, I mean, like a cold ass old motherfucker. I love it. He never ever likes what you do, and I like to see characters like that because they're like the most evil, yet also like realistic kind of higher ups. Like nothing you ever do is good enough.
Yeah.
The thing with that is, go ahead. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
The Tywin, a lot of people compare him to Shishomaru from Inuyasha, being that cold, distant person, but at the same time he can still be a badass and still have his own set of rules. And that's the thing with Tywin. I love it. Like you said, Milan, is like, "Did I do good, Daddy?" "No, you f***ed up." And I love it because he looks at all of his children like that. Like, the only person he's ever really opened up to was, oh wait, I can't say that because that's in season 2, but he does open up to one person, and it's not in his own family. And this is a guy who you get a sense that he's jaded. That's the best way that he's jaded over his life.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Let me give some history of the Lannister house just from the books that I like. I looked up some of the house history that's peppered throughout the books and not really relevant to things going on right now in the plot. But so Tywin's father, who was the head of the house before him,
I know this story.
It was just a fuck up. He just constantly embarrassed everyone in the family, and he was a really shitty lord because he just let people do whatever the fuck they wanted, and he didn't impose fear on anybody. And even the way he died was really embarrassing. He fell down the stairs while he was going to see his mistress. So it's just so Tywin's just taken it upon himself to really revive the Lannister name, and that's why he holds all his children to such high standards. I think it's really interesting because Tyrion's the only one that does things for the good of the household and doesn't really embarrass them except for going to see hookers and get drunk. He's the only one that really could live up to his father's standards, but he won't simply because he's a dwarf.
Yeah,
right.
And he doesn't, he said, the reason I really hate you is not because of your size, it's because you took the one woman I loved away from me.
Mm-hmm. And they mentioned that at some point in the first season.
Yeah, they do. I remember them mentioning that. Well, I think Tyrion himself says that.
Yeah,
in the eyes,
I
in
love
father's eyes, in the father's eyes, all dwarfs are bastards.
Yeah, I love that Tyrion knows that he's a mess up. Whatever he does, he's going to be a mess up to his dad, and just kind of throws it in his face. That's why he lives. That's part of why he lives the Tony Stark lifestyle. Is because
that's amazing.
That he knows he is the smartest of the children, but he'll never be able to live up to his father's standards because of his his dwarfism. So what he loves, so it's kind of like he loves doing what he does, but also it's a great way to get back at Daddy. And I love that moment when the near end of the season 1 when they're talking about, can we sue for peace against Robb Stark, and that's when he throws his cup to the ground and he goes, "There's your piece, right there with Ned Stark's head."
Yeah,
I love that scene because
I think the line he had was actually, "You'll have an easier time drinking out of that cup than you will suing for peace."
That's the thing. I love that scene because because Tyrion knows that his father doesn't love him because of his dwarfism, but this really sweet scene. I'm sorry, it's just when his father finally says, "You did good," in an inverted way, he just says, "You did good, son," and that look on Tyrion's face, he's like, "What?
Oh shit!"
He's like, "I did good, Daddy," and his father's like, he doesn't say it, but his eyes say, "You did good, son," and it's
he begrudgingly agrees with him about the thing with the Starks, and he makes in that moment, that's when he makes him the Hand of the King in his stead while he's fighting Robb.
Yeah, and it's interesting. After that scene, Tyrion's sitting in his bedroom, just shell shocked, talking to his whore. It's like my father sees me as competent.
He's
That's
so
the
like
perfect
he's so
way to put it.
beside himself from it. I love it.
Yeah. Can I also
like,
mention?
I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah. Can I also mention that I love the romance between Tyrion and Shay?
No.
I do too. I liked her character a lot. She was she's a good match for him because she's got the same keen mind that he does. But they both live like these like he's really smart and she's got a sharp tongue, but they both live like kind of whores themselves. Like he's constantly getting drunk and obviously she's fucking whoever can, provide her with what she wants. So they're a good match, I think. So I hope that I haven't gotten into season 2 yet, but I hope that she sticks around for a while. But
Oh
based
yeah,
on
she
the
does.
show,
No,
I doubt it.
And the truth be told, I love that whole. I don't really consider Tyrion like I have my own little team Tyrion of take that Twilight fans. I like that whole trio of Tyrion, Shay, and Bronn. I love that trio because they play off each other so well.
Yeah, that scene where they
Did you
play
say-
that game is freaking awesome.
More about the
Braun
father.
is such a badass.
I'm on what now?
Braun is such a badass.
Oh, okay. Well, before we move on to the next family, I want to mention something about the father. What's his name again?
Tywin.
Tywin. The thing about Tywin is, you see, his 2 children, the handsome ones, are just fucking incestuous dicks that child-killing dicks. And let me finish. And they're just so despicable, and I don't like them. But the thing is, like, I weirdly have a grudging like for their father, because he knows what he is.
He reminds me of my father. So.
Actually, funny enough, he reminds me of my mom. But
That's
but
scary.
the thing is, he knows what he is, and he's unashamed about it. He doesn't try to sneak. He doesn't hide it like Cersei does. He
He's not a
knows.
backstabber.
He's not a backstabber. He'll look you in the eyes. He stabs your children through the heart, and I respect it.
Well, that's the thing is,
why
Tywin
Cersei
is
such a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Tywin is such an unbelievably cutthroat man, and I mean that quite literally because when Deadpoolzilla said that there's only 3 Targaryens left, that's because Tywin murdered babies. He did it himself. He didn't send someone to do it. He took a knife and murdered babies during the revolution.
This is just something that just came to me now. We're talking about the different families. It's strange because Tywin never says anything directly negative about Ned Stark. And I think that's because while they're playing for different sides and Tywin is not an honorable or a moral man, but they're both so fucking honest about who they are. And I think that's why neither of them ever directly say a negative thing about the other. And that's probably why I like the both of them, even though they both have their own baggage, which makes them somewhat unlikable. Both of them, even Ned.
Another character that I think we should bring up, I'm sorry to change gears, but another character that I really enjoy, and you guys might turn on me, I really like Varys.
Before we get out of the Lannisters, I wanted to talk about Jaime and Cersei since we hadn't yet.
Oh, okay,
but then we can go on.
Okay.
Milan, you were saying that you don't like the twins, Jaime and Cersei. They don't give Jaime a lot to do in the first season that makes him likable.
Well, except try to kill a child.
And fuck his sister.
Well, I mean, he's not a great person, but he's still a likable person later on.
This is BS, dude. You tell me that I can't do the same.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying that he gets further developed. So I actually like Jaime.
Well, you see, and to be fair to Ian, you kind of see that at the end of the first season with the dialogue scene he has with Lady Stark. So, it's not like it's it's a 180 turn.
It's not that. It's because they're so well developed, and they do terrible things, but they're so well developed that you hate them, but at least you understand them. And it's
they're real people.
Yeah, but that still doesn't mean that makes what he did better. You just understand
no, I'm
him,
not
but he's
saying
still
that
a
at all.
bastard.
I'm just saying I'm saying that he's more of a likable character than Cersei, who is a dumb bitch.
Oh,
she's the female equivalent of the medieval Joseph Fritzl. She just lies all the time.
Milan, pretend like we don't know who that is.
Smooth, Deadpoolzilla. Smooth.
Joseph.
Internet high five.
Dude, he was Hitler's right-hand man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the guy. He was a propagandist.
I'd agree with that to a certain extent. The thing about Cersei is she's an idiot, but it's not like she's just an idiot though. She's an idiot that thinks she's a genius.
Yeah, and
that's the worst kind.
Yeah, I'm going to say this in Season 3, where Tywin has the best comeback line to her. He says, "It's not that I hate you as a woman, I just hate you because you think you're cleverer than you really are."
Mm-hmm. And I know she had a similar exchange with Tyrion in, I think, Season 2, where she's like, "You're only half as clever as you think you are because of that thing between your legs." And he goes, "Still makes me more clever than you." I hate Cersei because, Joffrey is such an ass, and it's all her fault because all she's done is raise this kid to be the most privileged little shit in the fucking world.
Yeah.
And she thinks she's going to be able to control him, and then right at the end of Season 1, we see that she can't.
Yeah. And, is it wrong to say that I think Lena Headey would make a great Poison Ivy?
No, I could buy it.
That's who that is. Okay.
Yeah. The thing with Joffrey, the thing with Joffrey is we might as well talk about Joffrey. See, in the beginning, when I heard about this series, everyone started talking about how much of a dick Joffrey was, the prince, the little princeling shit pellet. And it's just like, in the beginning, yeah, he got that, butcher's boy killed, and that was a fucking terrible thing to do. And it was just I didn't hate that kid because he was just so fucking pathetic because he got slept around by a dwarf. But the thing, he was just so fucking weaselly and pathetic that my hate for him didn't go really deep. But then, by the end of the first season, he chopped off Ned Stark's head and made his daughter look at it. It's like, watch it until I tell you not to. He's still
monster, yeah.
he's still a sniveling little worm. But the thing is, he's a sniveling little worm with power now, and that's the worst kind. Sniveling little worms with power.
And that's the thing, is Cersei's the one that put him there. Admittedly, I mean, she didn't really have another choice. She either had to put Joffrey on the throne and stay in power, or run away with the children. Because Ned was gonna reveal that Joffrey was a child of incest and had no claim to the throne, and then she would have been, fucked.
That's the thing. I think,
figuratively.
Yeah, I think that the reason, one of the reasons Joffrey's so fucked up and so repulsive to me is because he's the spawn of siblings. He is an inbred filth. That's why he's so thin and pathetic and weak of moral character.
Yeah, he's not crazy, but he's just sadistic as fuck.
Yeah,
but the thing is, deep because he wasn't raised deep.
Well, even more so than that, though, I think part of it is the Child King thing, because he's supposed to be 13 or 14 in this, when the series first begins, and he can't be more than 14 by the time he becomes king. It's just, the behavior that we see from him really does fit with that kind of phase that a lot of kids go through. I know I went through it, not I didn't go out and fucking murder animals or anything, but just that phase of ultra violence, kind of like the lead in Clockwork Orange. Just that, he's a fucking asshole kid that just wants to hurt things. A lot of kids go through that phase, and I think he's in that phase, and I don't think he's coming out of it because now he can do whatever the fuck he wants without consequence.
Right.
Maybe that's just me though.
One little thing, the thing about the Stark girl, his betrothed wife. At first it was just, you silly girl. Because, she says, oh, I'm going to marry Joffrey and I'm going to give him a lot of babies. And
we will have gorgeous children with golden hair.
And then it's she's just a silly, stupid little girl. And it's so sad because it's not sad. You feel bad for her because she's betrothed to a sociopath that killed her father and made her look at the severed head of her father on a spike. Mm-hmm. But the thing about the Hound, Joffrey's right-hand man. Sure, he's a murderer and a hired, killer because he kills the butcher's boy because Joffrey told him to. But you gotta say, as bad as the Hound is, you gotta say the Hound is loyal. And the Hound is loyal. But the thing is, I can't, that's the thing, I understand the Hound. He was deformed by his giant-ass mountain of a brother, and he's loyal, and
Speaking of the mountain, how badass was it when he cut off that fucking horse's head?
Oh my god, that was sweaty.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
the name was very.
That was fucking metal right there.
Yeah.
that's like when he swung you.
Score starts playing in the background.
Yeah. I like the Hound. I really do. And his story gets better throughout seasons 2 and 3. And in here, you don't get a lot of him, but what you do get of him is interesting. I mean, he's very much kept an enigma. Almost like he's like a medieval Jason Voorhees. But he is, like Milan said, he's loyal regardless, because what the fuck else is he going to do with the rest of his life? And I love that fight he has when he takes on his brother. With Joffrey is, like, I think Ian really summed him up the best, saying that he's never going to get out of that homicidal phase now that he has the power for it. And it's so weird, too, because the actor who plays Joffrey is, like, one of the nicest people in the world.
He was
like, the funny thing is it's the kid that Batman gave the telescope to back in Batman Begins.
Oh my god, it is! Holy shit!
So, like, basically what I'm saying to you is if you ever see Batman give a kid a telescope, murder his ass, or otherwise fucked up shit's gonna happen.
So when Ben Affleck gives a kid a telescope, no to murder him. Got it.
It's also
and now the video is dated. Thank you.
As if the rest of the series isn't. And
yeah, like we're reviewing season 1. Oh, it wasn't dated. We were reviewing the first season of a show that came out in 2010. Thanks, man.
Well, no, I mean the people are still getting into it though because it's HBO. People have to wait for the DVDs.
Oh, thank God we're not talking about True Blood. We'd be here all year.
Yeah, fuck True Blood. I don't care.
I think you've said it enough about that with Ian, but I think we've gone through all the Lannisters, all the big ones. I will say this. I will agree with Milan that Jaime has a lot more character development in here, and you start to see it here, and then it grows more in the other 2 seasons. Cersei, the only time I kind of agreed with Cersei was when she had that conversation with Robert about their marriage.
Oh, great.
And that's the only thing that holds it all together.
It's lies. The thing about, like, before we move on to Robert, I love Robert. The thing is, like, I love the fact when Robert screams, like, enough with this fight while the Mountain and the Hound are fighting. The Hound instantly falls on one knee. Like the sword literally goes over his head. And he just falls on one knee when Robert screams at him. And that's so indicative of his character, I think. That's one of the defining things.
Yeah.
He will obey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Deadpoolzilla, you wanted to talk about what character again?
There's 2 characters I want to talk about because I think they're both very important. Lord Varys, first off, the Spider.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I really like. I like Varys because he's one of the few people who can, in the court, that can match wits with Tyrion, and it's fun to watch them band. In fact, whenever Varys is with any other character, he's very interesting to watch him play off other characters. But he's very much like Tyrion in the sense that he does have his own set of rules, but he's not willing. He's willing to cross the line for anything needed, and it's interesting to see how he works because he's called the Spider, and there is a mystery of how he got cut. And when you find out in season 3 and what he does to get his vengeance back is interesting, to say the least. But Varys can be a very interesting character, and he was one of the few people who believed in Ned Stark,
Right.
And it was so cool to see him, because it was so cool to see, like, he was trying to warn Ned the whole time while being subtle about it, and then when Ned died, you see this in more of the seasons, but you see it in the last episode of season 1, where he is very much like, I feel very indebted to help, Ned's family. So he does his best to protect Sansa.
Yeah, I like the Spider, and he's also a Munich. But that's the weird thing. There's always this double standard, because like him and Littlefinger are basically the 2 spiders in the corners of the court.
Well, I would say Littlefinger's more of a
rat.
A mockingbird.
Mockingbird. But the thing is, that's the weird thing. When they discuss, because Littlefinger, he's a whorehouse owner. he owns whores. Brothel. He's the ultimate pimp. But the thing is that it's suggested that he also, caters.
He's like the Ray Kroc of brothels.
Yeah, but
and Ray Kroc is, of course, the founder of McDonald's.
Yeah.
That is potentially the greatest simile I have ever heard in my life.
Thank you, Ian. But yeah,
the thing is, Milan, go ahead. Sorry.
But the thing with that is, it's kind of like I love the Spider because he just seems like a genuinely all right person. But Littlefinger's is a backstabbing cunt. But the thing is, that's the thing.
I told you not to trust me.
Yeah, the thing about these characters, they're developed, but like it's suggested that Littlefinger also traffics in little boys. And he'd be like, "Oh, would you like a little boy, a spider?" And this weird innuendo that the spider might be a little bit pedophilic. And that's the thing. As much as I love the spider as a character, he's a pedo apparently. And that's the thing.
Well, no, I mean that's the thing is he has no interest in anything sexually because he doesn't have the organs for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's not. Here. Okay, Milan. In case you didn't know, he uses the boys as his spies. That's what he does.
Ah. Oh. Okay. I guess that was an innuendo or whatever.
Yeah. That was an insult to Varys, not.
Oh. Right. But that's the thing. Like Littlefinger became less likable to me because hey, I traffic in little children, child prostitution. You bastard.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the scene with him I really like is when Ned Stark chokes him out.
Oh yeah.
And
he keeps his wife in a whorehouse, and he's just like, oh, you're funny. You're a funny man. You're a funny man. And he just bitch chokes the little bitch.
Here's the thing, and I agree with one of my friends who said this. Who we were talking about this. Peter Baelish, Littlefinger, is the one true villain of the Game of Thrones series.
Huh.
Well, I'd say Joffrey more so.
Well, here's the thing. Joffrey's too damaged, and he's more like a puppet to Cersei.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She can't control him.
Let me explain. I say that Joffrey. Okay, if you were to put them in terms, Joffrey would be the number 2 villain, but the number 1 true villain of the series would have to be Peter Baelish, because he's the one who manipulated Ned Stark into being killed. He's the one who kind of played all sides of the game. He played all of them to try to get what he wanted. Inevitably he was supposed to be Catelyn Stark, and then he tried to get to Sansa in the later seasons. But that's what he is pretty much like the devil in some ways, where he can tell you one thing and make it sound so believable, and then just stab you in the back. And
yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought about it that way, but it is kind of because of his lies that the whole war starts up.
Yeah, and that too. That's the thing too. And Bill just said it he even plays the audience. So yeah,
I have to disagree. The boy king is not a villain. I know he's a sadistic little shit, but to me he's not threatening or really quite imposing. He's a cunt, but he's a cunt on the leash of his mother. And
or rather teeth.
But he's not on the leash of his mother.
Yeah,
I know, but
he's more like on the teat of his mother.
Well, I think Milan's point is that he's acting out of how he was raised to act on the throne. He was raised to be privileged, get everything he wanted to, and that was the only thing that being a king meant. So, and now he's acting that out on the throne. I wouldn't say he's a villain as much as a consequence. I would say Cersei is a lot more of a villain than he is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, Cersei's just too dumb to be a villain. She doesn't realize the consequences of her actions. She doesn't play the game out far enough. Tyrion plays about 10 moves ahead. Cersei plays maybe 2. She'll put together a plan, and it's and that'll make this happen. But then she doesn't realize the long-term consequences of that action. Joffrey isn't on her leash because she has no control over him. That was the whole point of Ned going back on what he was saying and choking down that no, actually, Joffrey isn't a child of incest, blah, blah, blah. No. The reason, he was going to say that, and then he was going to be pardoned and given a chance to take the black and work on the wall. But instead, he says that, and Joffrey goes, okay, now I'm going to execute him. And then, bam, you got a fucking war. Robb would have had to turn around if Ned went and took the black. But because Cersei couldn't take the control of Joffrey that she thought, that's where we get our war from. Admittedly, Littlefinger manipulates Ned into that outcome. Though I don't think he knew that Joffrey would kill him. That part's up for debate, I suppose.
I don't think there are villains in this series.
There's no, clear-cut, this is the bad guy with the black cape. But, I mean, they're clearly
this whole
people
series,
with less than noble intentions.
Of course,
here.
but to be honest, I think there are people that I hate and people that I love. But the thing is, I think all the characters in this show are heroes in their own story.
That's a great point. He's absolutely right. We follow so many different point of views in this show. Everyone is their own protagonist.
Yeah.
And it's totally debatable who's the real protagonist.
Yeah, or who's the real antagonist sometimes.
Definitely. Everyone is playing their own story, because I think the best example for me, and you guys are going to have to refresh me on this guy's name, the knight who travels with the Dothraki.
Joran.
That's him. He is a very likable character. Super loyal. He's definitely a damaged warrior. Just wants nothing more than to protect what's her name, Daenerys. Excuse me. And the scene with him that sold that for me is he says that he hates Ned Stark, and I'm like, I like both of these guys.
Right?
Well, that's because Ned Stark kind of, basically threw him out of the realm for being a slaver.
Right, exactly. But, I like both of these characters. They're just playing in different stories, and they want different things. Neither of them is a villain because they're just proactively trying to succeed in their goals. That's what made this show so fucking interesting, is how well it managed to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
And plus, with Joran, I'm surprised we didn't talk about him early, but with Joran, he does have, you obviously see that he wants to sleep with Daenerys, but he does have, he wants to, he has a lot of respect for her, too.
I think it starts as wanting her, physically. Actually, hold on. At first, I think it starts with wanting to be on her brother's side, because he knows if this guy can get the Dothraki to go back to Westeros, he's going to be king in an instant. The Dothraki are going to be the new dragons of the Targaryen Empire. But then, as he sees that guy's plan completely fall apart, he becomes attracted to Daenerys, is trying to get her to take all these outs, and she won't take them, and then he begins to be genuinely inspired by her idealism. And fall in love with her, not just be physically attracted or...
I didn't see that. I actually saw that, he was the guy who was he was actually trying to tell Daenerys' brother, you shut up, stop doing this, or you're going to get hurt. He was trying to warn him of that, and he did have a lot of respect for Daenerys. I mean, yeah,
I'd agree with you. When I said he was trying to cozy up to her brother, I meant that was maybe the first 2 episodes they were hanging out together. The wedding scene and the next episode.
Obviously, he was physically attracted to her, but then you see a lot of respect for her in the later seasons, and it starts here. And I think that was a done deal for him to follow Daenerys to the end of the earth. Was when she's standing there, not burnt by the fire with the dragons. That was the shining moment for him to be I'm going to follow this girl into the gates of hell if I have to.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is he got a pardon. He got a pardon. He could have gone back to Westeros whenever he wanted after that assassination attempt on her. But he didn't.
Can I just say one thing quick about the ending, really quick? When you see Daenerys in the midst of the fire, in the midst of the ash rather, she gets up naked, covered in not burn marks, with ash, and then you start to see the dragons come up. I was just like, Jurassic Park quote: "Life found a way." I don't know why, but that immediately made that ending more epic to me. Was that I thought of Jurassic Park?
Yeah. My thing with that scene is that, we see it a lot more and getting back to Daenerys real quick, is that we see that she's truly worthy of being the true Stormborn, and I'm glad I remembered this so we can bring this up, but Do you guys want to talk about the Starks? I mean, we obviously talked enough about Ned. What about Robb Stark?
Love him.
Rob's a cool guy.
Sure.
He's I just love how much of a smartass he's trying to be, but like his father didn't raise him to be witty.
Right. You see, he's doing the best he can to be the new Lord of Winterfell, and he's doing a decent job, but you can tell he's so unsure of himself. Because he was thrown into being what he's called later as the North King.
Well, the King of the North.
Excuse me. He's just not ready for it, and wears that.
And it's actually kind of funny because I do know this in the book. You know how he's 20. He's in his early 20s in the TV show. When he becomes when he gets declared King of the North, in the books he's only 15.
Oh shit!
And Joffrey's younger than that, then, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's the thing. The thing is, all of those type of things, all these weird boy kings and all these really insane, like putting children in extreme amounts of power, especially homicidal teenagers, that used to happen all the time back in the ye old days.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. George R.R. Martin bases a lot of what he does in the books, and obviously by extension the show, on actual medieval history.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here besides fucking dragons and wildfire and shit that didn't kind of actually happen. There were giant revolutions where an entire bloodline was kicked out so there would be no heirs.
Or wiped out.
There were incestuous princes of incest and stuff like that. All of this is very legitimately real medieval politics, and that's what makes it so fascinating.
Right. It's a very well thought out world, definitely. I mean, that was one of the things that was so impressive about it.
The thing also, like, getting back to Robb, if that's cool with everybody.
Sure.
Is that he's a very likable character. The problem is, and I gotta bring this up again, in the later seasons he really lets his heart get the better of him, and in here, he is very much like, I'm going to destroy the Lannisters, and that's it. I'm going to get our own independence to the north. And you see, like, in that final episode of Season 1, where you see all of them, pledge their allegiance to Robb, and they are very loyal, especially Theon, but, and it's funny, too, because I liked Theon in the first season, but then after, the following seasons, I'm like everybody else. Fuck that little bitch.
Who's Theon?
He's the
one who gets
Theon Greyjoy is a ward. It's basically a hostage because his father had rebelled against Winterfell, and so as part of the truce, once Ned Stark destroyed the rebellion, as part of the truce, he was given his the guy's last living son, and he raised him in Winterfell as essentially a hostage, but they treated him like he was one of their sons.
That guy, yeah, I know him.
Oh, him, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Say, Deadpoolzilla, what are your thoughts on Theon?
No, I mean, I like Theon. Sorry, I'm apparently Deadpoolzilla now. I like Theon in Season 1. I mean, he's got a thing for hookers.
Because they have a lower life than he does, technically.
Right, yes, he kind of feels superior to them in that way. Definitely with the one who, kind of the main hooker character, if there is such a thing.
It's not really a main hooker. She's not even a hooker at all. She's a wildling. Wait. No, I know who you're talking about. That other girl.
Yeah, the one who flashes him her pussy. That one.
Yeah, that one. I'm so dumb. That one is actually...
I agree.
Like, that character is from the TV show. She's never been in the books.
Oh, okay. Interesting. She was interesting because she's one of the things that, again, we're following all these different characters in these very far away parts of this world, and she was one of the ones who kind of interconnected these two giant landscapes, who really has nothing to do with the main plot, but everything to do with the main plot, because she starts out in Winterfell, and then makes...
She just gives us... She provides us with a point of reference, I think.
I agree. Also, there's that great scene in the brothel with the Littlefinger talking about how they have to be, like, the best actors on the planet.
Yeah. And then he said, like, I'm not going to beat my enemies, I'm going to fuck them.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I thought it was
boy,
really
does
cool
he do
how
that.
Great bit of
I
foreshadowing.
thought it was really
there.
cool how they gave us Littlefinger's origin story, just through dialogue. I thought that was brilliant.
They do that with a lot of characters through dialogue. It's all super, super impressive.
I know, right? Because this, like, with this show, it looks fantastic for the budget it has. But the thing is, they really kind of cut corners in the visuals. They do show wonderful visuals, but the thing is, the storytelling and the writing is so good that you don't really bother that. Oh, you're just looking at people talk for 5 minutes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, go ahead, Bill.
Sorry, let me throw this one thing out there to relate to that point. The way they get around not showing giant battles is brilliant.
Well, that and they didn't have the budget for it.
Right, exactly. But that shot of Tyrion, the little dwarf dude, that dude.
Yeah.
Where he's just being dragged by his knight friend. I don't remember any of these names. God, I feel like an idiot. That was a genius shot. Braun.
Yeah, I mean, I really like... I would like to see a large-scale battle just once. That would be nice.
Well, there is one in the future, just not in season 1, just saying.
Okay.
It's gonna happen at some point. At some point in this medieval story about political intrigue and warfare, there is going to be a battle.
Well, actually, it's funny that you bring that up, Bill, because you don't see a lot of fighting in this show. I mean, there are sword fights and other things.
There's a sword fight over a giant pit of death.
Well, yeah. Well, let me hang on. It's more dialogue driven than action driven, and I actually really like that. And
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, it's kind of like one person compared the Game of Thrones series to, like, it's a medieval version of The West Wing.
And it's funny because I've been watching The West Wing lately, and I totally agree. Show holds up surprisingly well for anyone that's interested.
And it's funny too because
yeah.
Martin Sheen's apparently going to be in Game of Thrones sometime.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that now.
Okay. A little bit quick before we get back into the topic. Brilliant casting decisions in Game of Thrones. I was just so impressed with the cast, especially Fred Flintstone as King Robert. That was an interesting casting choice, but it worked brilliantly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, Sean Bean, he's great as Ned Stark, but once again, he falls under Sean Bean dies in everything.
He's fucking Alex Rebellion. That's who he is to me. I mean, I was making a joke in my head today while thinking of this video. I was like, all right, so plot summary of Game of Thrones. Alex Rebellion and Fred Flintstone were really good war buddies, and now they both, one of them's a king and one of them is a lord, and all these different, and Dr. Frankenfurter is trying to get this, white-haired kid to go to war with the king, and it was, I don't know, that was just what was running through my mind today.
What's the name of the fat king, the first one before he dies?
King
Robert.
Robert.
I gotta say about King Robert, he's like when he first gets introduced, I just love the motherfucker because he's just this I love this one thing he says. What do you want me to rule your kingdom for you? Like, no, I expect you to rule for me as I drink whore and eat myself to an early grave. I love big...
Actually, the line I love is when he rides into Winterfell and, Ned's not really sure if he's changed over the years, and he gets on his horse.
He's kind of like... Robert is kind of like the frat boy who never left college.
Yeah,
but
that's a great analogy.
He gets off of his horse, he's fucking fat ass, and Ned's like legitimately worried now. And then he's like looking at Ned and he goes, "You got fat." And Ned just like looks at him and kind of like slightly tilts his head. And then they both start laughing. That instantly like solidifies just how close of friends these two are.
Yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah. And one of the
Robert's talk was just awesome with that accent.
I love that scene. Where basically he has the sister fucker standing outside his room, protecting him while he has sex with a multitude of whores, and basically he giggles and goes ha 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 ha, and basically he yells out, "I bet you smell like raspberry jam." I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on in there?
I really want to know now.
Get the other line from King Robert that I really loved was, go get the breastplate stretcher. It's like, he'll be running around for an hour before he figures out that there's no such thing.
Or will he?
I love that. No, but King Robert, I mean, up until the part, like, it's a confusing little moment there because I fucking hate Cersei Lannister, but I don't want to be happy that I just saw a woman get slapped. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't mind seeing a woman get slapped as long as she's a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah, I'm with Milan on that one.
I don't know, like, usually, it's really hard to create a character that's such an asshole that it makes me go, yay, he's a wife beater.
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
And he got taken out by a boar. Not in some great battle, not in some great epic sword fight. No, he got taken out by a pig.
Because he was drunk.
Yeah.
I love how... Now, maybe you guys would correct me on this. I love how Cersei so wants to get rid of this fucker, yet still be in power. And she doesn't have to do anything to do it. He does it to himself. I loved that.
Well, I mean, that's debatable, but that's later season stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, did she do something? I don't know.
It's really vaguely hinted at about
Right.
the Squire, because that guy, the kid that squires for King Robert
He's
is
a
a
Lannister.
Lannister.
Right. And
So it's
apparently
really
gay?
No. You're thinking of the Knight of the Flowers.
You're thinking of you're thinking of Renly.
Oh, I thought they were the
No, Renly's Robert's brother. Who's the Knight of the Flowers? That
Oh,
is
the guy from House Tyrell. I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
They looked the same to me, so I was like, oh, so...
They do look really similar.
Yeah.
But like, since we just talked about Robert, before we get back to the starts, let's talk about Renly a little bit, because he does play a role in Season 2, so it's
Not
worth
much of
talking
one.
about. Well, no, it's worth talking about him here in Season 1, though.
Kind of a bitch. No.
Well, I mean, I don't know, that scene where he's getting shaved, I find that amusing.
I find that's actually a really sweet scene, I gotta say.
Well, Renly's a very interesting character. I like him. Well, keyword liked him. And not because he changed character or something happens to him, but Renly is that kind of character. Like he's kind of like you kind of get the sense that Renly, Stannis, and Robert were kind of like the Lannister kids, where their father just did not care for any of them, and Renly was the bastard child of the three.
I wouldn't say that much, because, I mean, Robert gave Renly a lot, and not begrudgingly. I mean, they didn't seem to get along like Ned and Robert did, but they still seemed like okay with each other, whereas the Lannisters seemed to just not like each other at all.
Except for
Stannis was Stannis was the real black sheep of the family.
Probably.
And for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I really hope Stannis turns out to be like the shark in Jaws, where once he finally shows up, he's gonna like fucking try to devour a boat or something.
That's probably a good comparison.
I don't know. Stannis has like one little monologue talking about the rebellion with Robert in Season 2 that I just really like, and I'm gonna briefly summarize it.
He gets to talk about Season 2.
Because it just gives you an idea of who Stannis is. So
don't
during the
rebellion stuff, just give us the vague idea.
No. So in the rebellion, Stannis was charged to hold this castle called Storm's End, and he's talking to one of his advisors about holding it. And he's like, "Well, first we ate the horses after we ran out of normal food. We were just under siege. We weren't going anywhere, so fine, the horses. Then we ate the cats. Never cared for cats. So fine, the cats. Then we ate the dogs. I like dogs. They're a good loyal animal. But we were hungry. So fine, the dogs. And then we ate the rats. I held Storm's End, though. I held it through the entire rebellion. And then what does Robert do? He gives it to Renly. It was an insult, but he was the king. So fine, Renly gets Storm's End." Like, just that... He's just such a cold-cut kind of character. He's Ned Stark, but without the charm.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shark in Jaws comparison, you're not too far away from the point there, Bill.
Oh, I hope he has a badass theme song.
You should wait till you see his wife, or not really his wife.
Does she have a badass theme song?
No, but she has a. Okay, when you see it, your jaw will drop, and you'll know this scene when you see it too. Your jaw will drop, or you'll just be like, I will never have children in my life again. Like, I'll never think about having offspring.
How you say again?
At least not with redheads.
You said again, Deadpoolzilla.
I didn't mean to.
How did you know about my dark past?
All right, so there's the Baratheon family. Let's get back to the Starks. Milan, you said you really like Jon Snow, and I mean he's a Stark in everything but name.
Well, we didn't really talk about Robb that much. We just kind of.
Okay, well, like what else do you really want to bring up about Robb? I mean, he's like a kid that's trying to be his father, but he's not ready yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's the biggest thing about him, is that he was kind of pushed into this, like you said, Ian, that he was really pushed into being this character, and it shows that he was not ready for it, and he's just getting lucky with these wars. You know, he just has a really loyal crew that knows what they're doing while he can do. Hey, I'm not saying Robb isn't.
I mean, he's got a bit of a tactful mind because he was able to outthink Tywin a little bit.
Yeah, that too, and yeah, that's another good point. He's not stupid. I'm not giving him shit. I really like Robb.
Yeah.
But he isn't very much over his head, and he gets lucky sometimes, but he does think. I will say that. He does think, and you can't fault him for that. Now,
he's noble like his father, just without the experience.
Yeah, that's a good way of explaining it.
It seems like seems like he would become quite a good lord along the line.
With Jon, he is very much he's literally the black sheep of the family, not because he chooses to be. It's kind of like that's his life because of him being a bastard. And
like the thing with Jon though is he's got what it takes to be a leader, but because of his lineage, he can't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like he's the most pure of the Stark family, in a sense. Like mentally, he has all the Starks' morals and whatnot. The thing is that he can never take the Stark name because of what he is, and you do see that his father does care for him very much, but you obviously see that Catelyn does not care for him at all, and for good. Well, she does have her good reasons, obviously. And Jon is a very likable character because he has this like sense that the whole world is in black and white. You get very quick that
he's young and naive, and I think that's really telling in that scene where he's going up to join the Night's Watch with Tyrion, and there are the other guys there, and they're like criminals, and he's like, most thieves are given the choice, most rapists are given the choice between having their dick cut off and going to join the Night's Watch up on the wall. A surprising number choose the castration.
Why we love Tyrion.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just like, Jon is naive because he's glorified what the wall is his entire life, because that's like the one place where he'll know he'll be able to lead since titles mean nothing up there.
Right.
But then on his way there, it just kind of all breaks down, and when he gets there, it's completely shattered by just the type of people he's surrounded with. There's no honor up there. It's all just it's all just to try and eke out the rest of your life, because most people that are up there are either men that have been dishonored or criminals.
Yeah,
and everyone's just clinging on to the last moments of life because they're too afraid to die.
Yeah, and that's a good way of looking at it. And Jon does bring in some interesting relationships, like him and the Lord Commander, who he kind of like. The Lord Commander treats Jon like a surrogate son. And
a little bit, yeah.
Well, because his son's down hanging out with Daenerys because he's been dishonored.
Well, yeah. The thing is, like, Jon gets to be, he does get some leadership. I will say that he does get some leadership, and he does make some friends who are criminals. And although Sam, I don't like Sam.
You don't?
Oh, I like him. but he gets so kind of goddamn useless throughout the seasons. Like, you had one job.
He is comic relief, and I was like, does Game of Thrones need comic relief?
Yeah, and
on the wall, things tend to get really bleak.
And to be fair, Sam, I like Sam and John's friendship. That he does take care of Sam very much, and those other two guys who I forget their names, I like the bond they all have, and John gives them that moral of.
Milan, mute your mic. Milan, mute your mic. And go on, Deadpoolzilla.
He does give them that bond of, he gives them a brotherhood in a sense, and I like that. And the thing is with John is that you see throughout the seasons a deconstruction of what he thought the world was, and that's the same thing with Sansa. Sansa I did not like in season 1. But as the season progressed, I liked her more because you got to see that the world she thought of was not in black and white. And that's why, but in here, she has this very, I'm going to be a princess, and, a princess can do whatever she wants, and then I'll be queen, and I can, rule the world with my loving king. That doesn't turn out like that, does it? And that's the thing you can look at with John and Sansa, is that in that equivalent, because both of them had a very black and white view of the world, and yeah, that doesn't turn out well for them.
Mm-hmm. Something I just noticed now that you mentioned that I really like as well. One thing I've been trying to emphasize this whole video is how well this show does the whole multiple character storyline with multiple point of views across a continent. It's interesting that almost all the characters start out in Winterfell and then kind of expand across the landscape. The only exception to that is Daenerys and her brother. But almost everyone else is introduced in Winterfell, and then everyone else kind of gets scattered throughout the realm. And I think that that's a really good storytelling device in order to paint this world in this expanded light, while also keeping the characters at the forefront.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. It was a good way to introduce everyone as Robert came to, request that Ned become Hand of the King. So we've talked about Rob, John. Anyone else have anything else to mention on Sansa?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't care for her until
don't worry. She gets better in season 2 and 3.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. But I didn't really care for her until the world that she thought she knew was just shattered. I thought she was like, every time she did something without her father's consent, I was like, oh god.
Yeah. Milan must be gone. I'm hearing myself echo on your end, Bill.
Hang on, I don't have headphones. I'll fix it.
Can you mute your mic while you're fixing it? Anyway. Milan, if you can hear us, you can unmute your mic if your father's out of the room. Because he might have forgotten. Anyway. Yeah, Sansa, she's okay. I do like seeing her reaction to having her world shattered. My favorite of the Stark children is actually Arya.
Yeah, okay, that's reasonable.
I just like her. She's just such a tomboy, and she's naive, but in a different way. She thinks that, practicing with the butcher's kid will help her learn how to fight for real. And I like that she just wants to be a boy. And I don't know, it just really works for me that she's naive, but in a completely different way than Sansa is. And she also has her father's sense of honor,
Right.
In that scene with the butcher's son and everything that happened there, She wants to be honest, just like her father has taught her to do, but and she's legitimately upset at Sansa for not holding up to that standard.
Yeah, and with Arya is that you see that she does have that bit of maliciousness to her, especially after her father's killed. That she does she's kind of made an oath that when she grows up, you get the sense that when she grows up, she's going to make it her mission to systematically destroy the Lannisters.
That's good. That's good. Somebody has to.
But the thing with Arya is that she's a very likable character. She can be a little standoffish, but I like that. She's not to the point where she can be a tomboy to the point where, like, she plays the stereotype tomboy. That's what I like about her. She's tomboyish, has, like, feminine charm to her, and I love her little relationships with all the little, like her swords master.
Oh god, I
love that
loved
guy.
him. Sergio, fucking awesome character.
I feel so bad that he died.
I know, I was like, I want this guy to be like the main character. He's fucking awesome.
You know, it's
What do we say to there's only one God, death? And what do we say to death? Not today.
Oh,
That was awesome.
You know, it's kind of funny. I heard rumors that he was in the running. I heard rumors, that he was in the running for the 12th Doctor.
I could buy it.
I can dig it. I would love to see him play Zorro. That would be amazing.
He's a little bit too
I think
old
he
and
might
a
be
little bit too round.
old, but
Yeah,
A
well,
little too round.
Like Zorro Returns. I don't know.
well, maybe he can be like Anthony Hopkins' Zorro. He could be the teacher.
That he actually reminded me of and this is just a brief tangent. He reminded me of a character in the Zorro origin story because he has the same catchphrase of "just so." And they're both swords masters, so I don't know. That was interesting.
But yeah, Sergio was so cool, and I loved like how he played and I loved how Ned helped treat Arya's wanting to be a swords master, and then when he brought in Sergio. I love that expression Arya had when she first met Sergio. Was like, "I'm your teacher. Teacher for what? For swords." And I was like, oh, and then I just couldn't help but feel happy for Arya when she finally got her wish from her father.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
Love that scene where she threatens that fat guy in the last episode.
Yeah, and I love Gendry. He's awesome. Like when he's making fun of that fat boy. He's like, "When I strike metal, it sings to me. When I strike you gonna sing, boy?"
Oh, I love the fact that he's the bastard of the old king. I love the.
He's Robert's last surviving bastard.
Yeah, and I love
the night. Oh God. Go ahead, Milan.
The thing is, I love that because when Ned Stark actually finds him, I love the fact because he kind of looks like the old king. Is kind of dark of skin, dark of hair, big muscular lad, and it's always mentioned that like the old king was a really strong man. He would wield a giant hammer in battle, and like he complains that he's gotten old and fat and he's not as strong as he used to be. And like when we first see the kid, we say, "Oh, he's quite strong for his age." I'm like, "Oh, see, if Cersei and the old king actually fucked, I think they would have come up with something a little less shitty than the deformed fucking inbred cunt that is Joffrey."
Yeah, and Gendry is very much like I think the oldest of the bastards. And they know he's roughly, and Ned knows that technically Gendry has more claim to the throne than Joffrey does. And
Oh yeah, totally.
And it kind of makes me wonder, what if he was on the throne? Because Gendry is a very interesting character gets more interesting throughout the show, especially with his friendship with Arya. And he, like, the short time we see him, he's very likable when you first meet him, and then when he hooks up with Arya, then like you really see his character shine through. And then like him and like the fat kid Hot Pie, like those three become an interesting trio.
Yeah. No, what I like about Gendry is just I do like the image of him on the throne because he comes from Flea Bottom, So that would be interesting, that kind of rags to riches dynamic.
Yeah, which is pretty much, Flea Bottom is pretty much the boondocks of King's Landing.
Writers of Game of Thrones, take note. Because they're definitely listening to this.
Okay, so Arya Stark, I think she's awesome. She's a lot of fun to watch.
She's an adorable little, I love the fact, like, that are fat children just fucking mean in this world? Like, all the fat kids she meets, they're just cunts. They're like, "Hey, girl, give me that sword. What are you doing?" And then she just stabs the fat kid through the stomach. And then another fat kid threatens her. I'm like, what's wrong with fat children? Aren't fat children supposed to be jolly and nice?
If you're fat, you're evil. God.
Yeah, we should know. This is common knowledge, Milan. I'm kidding.
All fat people are evil. This is just common knowledge. Yes.
Dude, you're fatter than me.
Fat.
Jeez.
If that's the case, then wouldn't all three of us be supervillains by now?
Are you fat, Deadpoolzilla?
Not really.
Then you're not.
I'm
You're
definitely-
exempt
Okay.
from evil.
I'm like the antithesis of fat.
Okay, two out of four of us would be supervillains.
I would not call myself fat. I mean, I'm.
That is the
Uh-oh.
first step to being fat, is not realizing that you're fat.
I don't think that. Whatever. I'm not going to defend my.
Could you wear an A-cup bra and fill it out?
No.
I love.
See, there's a lot of time in that response.
You know what? So from the fat to evil ratio, Ian would be a saint, literally. Deadpoolzilla would be a charming rogue.
No. I'm so skinny that I'm like skeleton, and that's like automatically evil too.
No.
there's a range.
Let me say this.
Scale and goes back around to the other end.
No. Let me explain. So from the fat to evil ratio, Ian is a saint. Deadpoolzilla is a dashing rogue. I am a villainous cohort, and Bill is Darth Vader.
Do you have something against me tonight?
No, see, that's the thing. I'm like the Emperor. I'm like Emperor skinny, you know. Anyway, let's get back. So Arya Stark's cool. The only other, there are two big ones, and like one of them doesn't really get a ton to do until later seasons. But let's go ahead and start talking about him because Catelyn gets more to do. So Bran, the climber that gets pushed. What'd you guys think of him?
I like him, but
Sweet kid.
yeah, he's a sweet kid. The problem is he doesn't get a lot to do other than we get this mystery built around him of what he really is, and we don't know till fucking season 3. But
Yeah.
he is very likable. He does try to live up to his father's standards, and you see even at a young age and being disabled that he is still, he has a very present. He has the Meister's help.
Yeah. Deadpoolzilla, you're cutting in and out a little bit, so just a heads up there. No, we got it, though. Yeah, I like Bran. I just think he's, like, I don't know, I guess I relate to him on a certain level because I was a bit of a, climber, a bit of an idiot at that age, too, doing a bunch of stupid shit that, like, I should be dead kind of things, I should not be having this conversation because I should be in the ground. And my mother should have had to bury me in a baby-sized coffin because I was a fucking...
shit!
Yeah. Thank you. I guess the show's rubbing off.
Ian, really?
I guess the show's rubbing off on Ian because, yeah. And also,
that was a bit morbid. Fair enough.
Dude, I should be dead. I literally should be dead. I had more attempts on my life than anybody.
Yeah, but that's because you had negligent parents. I was just a fucking moron.
That's different. You had people who actually cared about you. It's your own, idiocy that nearly got you killed. Me, I had actual people wanting to kill me out of love.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Your parents were just negligent.
No, they were just sociopaths.
You want to talk about coming near death? I should be the reincarnation of frickin' Rasputin.
I enjoy historical references. Thank you.
I'll tell you all, guys. I'll tell you three later. But no, I've come closer
Tell
to
us
death.
now. Come on.
I've come closer to death than other people. I've been hit by a car. I've been bitten by a rabid cat. I've died on a surgical table 5 times.
Woo!
I'm wondering at which point this is exaggeration. Now I'm legitimately curious. Anyway,
Tell us. Come on.
We're here to talk about Game of Thrones, not my near-death experiences. That's enough tale.
Not
for
about
another
the fact that Deadpoolzilla is the reincarnation of Rasputin. Anyway, back to Game of Thrones.
yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I like Bran. How about you, Bill?
He didn't really make much of an impact on me. I mean, he's a likable kid. He doesn't really get much to do except there's that constant dream he has with the three-eyed raven and the bow and arrow, which they don't explain in season 1.
Yeah. And Rickon doesn't get to do shit.
I mean, he's barely on
6.
screen, so.
Yeah, well,
He's 6. What could he do?
well, Bran is like what, 9, and
10.
well, yeah, 10, and yeah, Rickon doesn't he's only mentioned I forget he's there. I forget Rickon's another stuff.
I forgot they had another kid. I was like, there's another kid here, really? Where is he? Is he in
Yeah, they don't mention him at all. He's like, all he does is say, God, what is the name of his dog? Or his wolf?
I can't remember either, but
Shaggy dog. Shaggy. Shaggy wolf or something like that.
I actually...
Jackie Wolf, that's adorable.
I will say this. The Stark children are very tight-knit. Even they have a great relationship with Jon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, I like that scene where they're getting their hair cut before the Lannisters show up, and, like, Robb and Jon are, like, messing around with the barber, and they're like, oh, shear him good. He's never met a girl he likes more than his hair. I'm like, I love that scene. That just really, like, that just gave you, like, a great brother feeling there.
Yeah, and also when, Jon leaves for the leaves for the wall, he has this great moment with Robb. And he says, we'll see each other again, in this life or the next, and like you get that sense that all 6 kids, I suck at math apparently, they're all very tight knit. They're all, even though they have their own differences, it's just sibling squabbling at best. It's not like they flat out want to kill each other.
I mean, Arya and Sansa don't really get along that well.
Well, Arya and Sansa, that's pretty much sister bickering. She still wanted to save Sansa.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they say it. There's a point where she says, I don't hate my sister, it's just sometimes she annoys me.
Yeah, like she said, like it's kind of something along the lines of, I don't hate my sister, but I wouldn't give to punch her in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the Stark children are definitely raised in a good, loving family environment, with the exception of Jon, because, let's get into Catelyn now. She completely shuns that kid. And I mean, I get that he's a bastard and she hates that about him, and, like, he's a reminder to her of, like, the one vow Ned's broken, but still, I mean, like, she really does not like that kid to a point where it's almost cruel on her part. Like we've been saying, all these characters are really likable, or at least a lot of these characters are really likable, but there's still flaws about them. They're still so well fleshed out that there's no saint in this universe, Ned Stark betrayed his wife, Catelyn
Actually,
hates a
funny
child.
you should say that. Funny you should say that. There might be some. I heard there might be some stuff.
Yeah, there's a fan rumor. We're not going to bring it up.
Okay.
For the purposes of what we know about these characters in the piece presented, Ned Stark betrayed his wife and slept with another woman. King Robb is a really fun-loving guy, but he doesn't know how to run a kingdom. He's plummeted the kingdom into millions of dollars, quote unquote, in debt.
Whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, you got Catelyn, who, she's a very good mother. She's a very loving mother, and she gives her children a lot of attention and really cares for all of them. But she, there's that scene where Jon's saying what could very possibly have been his last goodbye to Bran, because they didn't know if he was going to live or not. And she's, like, just looking at him, like, get out. It's like, this is the guy's brother still. And she just, like, kicks him out of the room. That's essentially the hospital scene. Like, imagine that scene in a hospital room. And what she did is horrible.
Well, the thing is, like, you can kind of, keyword kind of, see where she's coming from, because he's
the embodiment of her husband's failure keeping his honor.
Well, his father. Well, the embodiment of his infidelity. That's it. Right.
Definitely. I'm not saying that, like, you can't sympathize with her, but she's still overly cruel from a certain perspective.
Yeah, and there's also, it kind of doesn't make sense, because there's a scene in Season 3 that happens that made me literally go, then where the fuck did this come from? That I'm not going to say what scene in Season 3, but there's...
Well, hold on. Deadpoolzilla, you and I will speak in code. Is it the one where she's making the thing?
Yeah, that's the scene I'm talking about.
Well, no, that does it does make sense. Watch that again, and she says at the end that she couldn't keep her vow.
Yeah, but again, that scene just felt pointless to begin with, so...
I disagree, but whatever. No, but, like, Catelyn overall, to me, she's a really good mother, but like I said, we have such well-fleshed-out characters that she has her flaws. How about you guys?
I would agree. I really liked her as well. I like that she got a lot to do individual, both her husband and her sons. She has a lot of screen time where she's being very proactive and trying to solve her own problems. It was just really, really well done, and I really liked her character. She was of all the female characters in this, aside from Daenerys, she was the least stereotypical medieval female.
Yeah.
She was this lady of the house, and she was defending her husband's honor to the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about her fucking sister? Jesus.
I was just about to say that.
Oh my god.
The fuck, man?
Real quick.
I want to talk about her. Basically.
Well, hold on. Milan. Can you talk about her as Jebediah Springsteen, but hold on, from the perspective of her son?
All right. Greetings and salutations, all ye faithful Gentiles of the seven-headed golden Pharaoh. I am Jebediah Springsteen, and one day a dwarf came to our home. On our mountain castle, I was sitting as a child, next to my mother on her throne of a tree trunk, sucking on her sweet breast. I think I was about 12 at the time. She was a very good mother, and I loved the milk. It was sweet and delicious. We had a hole in the middle of the floor that we could throw people in. We would make the birdmen fly. And the dwarf came in, and he wanted stuff. The dwarf came with my auntie, who wanted an army. The little man made me laugh, but I wanted to see him fly. And then there was some stuff happened, and there was a fight, and a man went flying through the hole in the ground. And then I said, "So is the little man gonna fall? Is the little man gonna fly? Am I gonna make the little man fly?" The little man did not fly, so I went back to sucking my mother's teat. It was yummy. Yeah, that's it. I mean, basically, yeah, when you first see that woman, her son looks like he's about 12 or something, or 8 or whatever, and he's sucking on her teat, and it's been hinted out that the Stark mother's sister is fucking mental. Because
Yeah, I was about to say, it ain't alluded, it's shown.
Yeah, well, before we actually meet her. There's like, oh, your sister's kind of,
I love that scene with Tyrion where he's like, "How long has it been since you've seen your sister?" 5 years. She's gotten worse. That's how he expresses it. It's just like, he doesn't have the heart to tell her, even though it's his life on the line. It's like, she's always been a bit touched, but she's gotten worse. And I mean, she has justification to hate the Lannisters, since, it's hinted at that Jaime killed her husband.
Right.
But seriously, I mean, this bitch is fucking mental.
Yeah, if Cersei raised the boy king like that, maybe she could control him more. But yeah, I don't think that kid was breastfed.
I did like that scene where where Robin wants to eat at that time, and he's like trying to undo her blouse. I was like, oh god,
oh my god,
that's pretty fucked up.
That is so beyond fucked up.
For any women watching this show, when your child is able to articulate that he wants fed, it is time to quit breastfeeding.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of scarring the minds of children for entertainment. Like, I highly doubt that boy is her son. It's like, hey boy, suck on that woman's titty.
Well, I'm really hoping that we got like a baby doll situation going here from Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, me too. It's like, suck on my titty, boy. It's for entertainment. It's about, dwarves and dragons and shit. Yay! Why am I sucking this lady's titty? Because.
I don't. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Wow. That poor kid. Or that lucky kid, based on your point of view.
I don't know. I don't know how much I would have given to see a booby at 12.
I think we should get him on the show and interview him how he felt about it.
That's going to be the whole highlight of the show. Just him talking in depth and describing how he sucked a teeth. That's the whole show.
Well, to be fair, I'm trying to figure out how old the character's supposed to be. Because, you get, I don't know, a 13 to 14-year-old, or possibly even a 16-year-old. Like, I knew a couple kids in high school, 16, 17, that looked 12. You know?
He looks like 9 to me, more than 12.
Why are we still on this?
I don't know.
Because this is
I don't know.
interesting, Deadpoolzilla, that's why.
Yes.
This is why I came here tonight, to talk about this moment.
About little boy sucking his mother's teeth and he's 12 years old. It's some fucked up shit right there, man.
Oh yeah, like
Okay,
we
so
haven't talked like anything else we brought up in this show is fucked up.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
so we've run the gambit on characters, and through that we've covered a lot of the plot. Are there any stragglers, any outliers that anyone wanted to mention of characters they happen to enjoy?
Oh, well,
The White Walkers.
Oh yeah, I was about to say. Oh, I don't know, the White Walkers.
Well, they're barely in the first season, but yeah. Snombies. I call them snombies.
Or something, or...
Yeah, I call them snombies. They're snow zombies. Snombies.
Oh, cool. It's like snow sharks. The science is sound.
Well, the thing is that the White Walkers are treated like they're the oncoming threat. These things, throughout the entire show, they are the most feared things in Westeros.
Well, the house words of the Starks is "winter is coming," and that's what they mean when they say winter, is bad shit from beyond the wall.
Yeah.
And
I love the fact, like, throughout the series, we get, like, the wildling people, like, the wildlings. Basically, that woman that was captured by the Starks. Basically, she's like, I love the fact that all the wildlings are just trying to get over the wall because they don't want to be behind there. Because it's just this weird, foreboding, like, shit is coming and all the natives are running forward. It's like, what the fuck?
Or banding together.
Or banding together, or trying to get over the wall, trying to get away from that thing. And it's so kind of creepy. And so, like, like when that slave girl talks to Bram as he's spraying to the tree. And it's just like, oh, like, I'm a slave. But, you're lucky, son. Like, you got these lords and kings, stabbing each other in the back. But doesn't matter. Like, I've seen terrible things behind the wall. And it's coming.
Yeah.
It's foreboding. I love it. It's creepy.
And when Catelyn describes the first time the White Walkers came, is bone chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me actually ask you and Bill and Milan. I want to hear your opinions on this because there's so little of the White Walkers. There's the first scene in the series, or there's the first scene in season 1, and then there's that little brief moment on the wall with the corpse. What did you guys think about the White Walkers?
I mean, I didn't really have much of an opinion on them because they didn't really serve any purpose in the overall plot except for being this oncoming storm, so to speak. Get it, guys? And I don't know. They struck me as cool. I agree with Milan. They struck me as foreboding. But I wasn't really paying much attention to them only because there was all this political stuff going on and all this stuff about the houses. But they're treated as kind of like the catalyst for all these, or not the catalyst, but a major part of why everyone is reacting to the way they are, especially the Starks. And I thought that they worked very well in that regard, but they weren't characterized very much in this first season to me, so I didn't really have much of an opinion on them.
No, they just wanted to establish them early on and, kind of give you bits and pieces as the series progresses.
The thing with me is, I think there's a few people who say similar things to what I'm saying in the series, is that, yes, all these lords and ladies stabbing each other in the back, the Game of Thrones, I think the White Walkers kind of represent the oncoming, uselessness of the game.
They represent the inevitability of politics of human struggle because their nature's attempt to get back at people. I mean, that's what makes them so interesting is you fall down dead beyond the wall, someone better be there to burn you because you're going to get back up and then you're coming back against the wall.
Yeah. That's the thing. I love the fact they represent how stupid all this at the end
how
futile how fucking futile the Game of Thrones is.
Yeah, how pretty much the War of Five Kings, as it's later called, is nothing more than a high school argument compared to what's coming next.
Yeah, which is something that the guy who runs watch really emphasizes when he gives Jon Snow that choice of like, you can either ride off and help your brothers and play war, or you can stand here and follow your oath and defend the realm. And he makes the right choice, in my opinion, because it's, you know, this little game of theirs is not going to be forever. The White Walkers and what's beyond the wall is going to be forever.
Yep.
And, you know, that's the thing that could destroy the whole realm. All this other stuff feels very petty, which is a message I loved.
Yeah, like I said, it's nothing more than a high school argument.
Yep.
Which is so fascinating because we're so interested in the subtleties of the politics here. I mean, it's what makes the show so good, and you get this oncoming thread of White Walkers, and you're like, oh wow, this is so insignificant to what's coming, but it's still also fascinating.
Yeah, and,
you know?
and let's not forget that, you know, at the end of season 1, when you see Daenerys with her dragons, you're just like, oh, because they really drive home in a lot of scenes that dragons were the nuclear missiles of Westeros.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that repelled the White Walkers, because White Walkers hate the fire.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in season 1, when Arya sees that dragon skull in the dungeons.
Yeah.
That was so fucking cool.
Yeah, the
'Cause,
giant-ass skull.
Yeah, because, like, you see that, and then you remember that when you see the tiny dragons that were just born at the end of Season 1, you're like, oh, shit just got real. Like, I was disappointed originally watching it because, you know, Daenerys has these lines like, fire can't hurt a dragon, and she doesn't get burnt in one scene, and you're like, okay, either she's really lucky or really crazy. Because, I mean, you hear that her father was called the Mad King.
Right.
Right? And then you see that scene at the end after she mercy kills her husband and she's burning him on that pyre, and she's like, I'm gonna walk in there with my dragon eggs. I'm like, oh, well, there goes this character I really like. Because the world's so grounded at that point. The only magic we've seen is with the fucking White Walkers. You see her about to walk in the fire, like, oh, well, that's a really disappointing end to this plot thread. And then she gets up. And you're like, fuck yeah!
Well, here's the thing
I
I earlier.
covered in
Life
dragons.
found
It's
a
like
way.
she's holding a dragon to hold against her crotch, so there's no, you know, cootie shot. But it's like, yes, oh my god! And all the people, the Dothraki start bowing to her, and she reclaimed. I assume she reclaims her army, and I'm like, yay! I'm gonna keep watching. This just got interesting, even more so.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, they make a lot of allusions that, yeah, nothing could kill dragons. They just died off on their own.
Yeah, because, and it's like, it's, in later seasons it's hinted at that they didn't die off because the dragons got weaker, it's because the people forgot how to take care of them, because the kings got weaker.
Yeah.
And crazier over the years because of how they bred. You know, like, I'm trying to remember what scene it was in, but someone says something to the effect of, you know, oh, that king thought if he consumed enough wildfire, he'd turn into a dragon. That's fucked up.
Yeah, I also like how they make a point of the lineage of dragon blood got so just disgusting that they started
Diluted.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Diluted.
Right. And they were talking about how the skulls from the door, they were kind of deformed and tiny, and then they got bigger and grander and more actual dragon-like. What a cool concept.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really want to see Aegon's throne room, because that just sounds awesome. Or not Aegon's, I want to see Aerys' throne room.
Oh.
Aerys the Mad King, that's another character. I know he's just, he's seen as kind of like the Voldemort, well, not really, but he's just, I just want to see this guy. He just seems like a fucking mental case.
Yeah, and I don't know where the book starts and where the show starts, but I honestly really like just leaving a lot of that stuff in the background, because you just get these little details about the Revolution and what the kingdom was like before Robert and all that stuff, and it's just fucking fascinating.
Oh, he used to burn women and
one
babies.
Thing, the one thing I wish they would have kept in that, like, I heard about was, okay, so they talk about how Ned Stark's father was burnt alive in the throne room by the Mad King. but they don't tell you how. Because in Westeros, there's this thing where if you're accused of a crime, you can choose trial by combat, where you get to fight, and if you win, then you weren't guilty, right?
Yeah.
And so Ned Stark's father is accused of treason, and he's not going to hear any of this bullshit in court, and he chooses trial by combat against the king. And the king's old, so he's like, can I choose a champion? And he goes, yes, of course you can. So Ned Stark's father goes and gets into his armor, and he comes back, he's like, who am I going to fight? And Mad King Aerys goes, my champion is fire. So he lights Ned Stark on fire, and gives him, or Ned Stark's father on fire, and gives him a sword to fight the stuff. It's like, fucking wow, I wish that was
fucking
the show.
amazing.
That is,
Wow.
I heard about that,
You're
and
gonna
it's
fight
just
fire
fucking
with a sword.
You know, I heard about this story, and it's just like, it's either ingenious or just completely it's scary if he actually thought he could do it, or it's
Well, no, he didn't think he could do it, but he's expected to fight, and he's just on fire. He's like, he can't.
It's mad sociopathic genius.
Yeah, it is.
I thought that was like the most brilliant thing.
John Milan, Jebediah Springsteen on fighting fire with a sword.
No, like the thing is, like they talk about King Aerys here and there, and it's like apparently the guy couldn't get an erection unless he was watching someone burn alive. Just like what a fucking nutcase.
I remember like when the old not King Aerys, but the big fat guy was going hunting. It's like, oh, everything was better back then. You could kill you look a man in the eyes as you killed him. I was strong and yada yada. They're walking through the forest. Mm-hmm. And they basically, the old man, the big fat guy, is complaining about everything is shit, and his younger brother just goes like, "Oh yeah, because everything was so fucking better back then. Fucking Civil War, the Mad King Aerys burning women and children alive because the voices in his head fucking told him so, and so he could get his dick up. Everything was so fucking good. Yeah, fucking Civil War, everything was good. It's just now everything's bad. He's just gonna." I like that. I like that whole, I like when the younger people kind of point out the older folks' bullshit about how it used to be good back then.
I've actually had that experience in my life. I was at a friend's birthday party, and one of the people there, his name's Devin, he's a guy that's got an earring. It's not like a thing, it's just he's a guy that got his ear pierced, right?
Right.
And my friend's father, who's an older gentleman, looks at him and goes, you got an earring in? And he's like, yeah. Back in my day, if my friends and I saw a kid with an earring down the street, we would have gone down there and beat his faggot ass. And then, not 15 minutes later, with no sense of irony at all, because the guy's drunk off his ass and doesn't remember what the fuck he said 15 minutes ago, he goes, God, I fucking hate this generation. Back in my day, things were great. You felt safe. Now it's just crime constantly. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I love
it was safe. It was safe because you were the fucking criminal, and it was a right to kill, people who were not you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's always that sense from older generations about how things were better back in the day, but no one ever talks about the fucked up shit they did with, hatred in their hearts and stuff. I fucking hate those people.
It's like that. It's like that scene from Watchmen. The past, even the slimiest parts of it, seem a little bit brighter as time goes on.
Yeah. I wonder, like, when we're old fucks, will we do the same, or we'll just
I don't even doubt it. We definitely.
You know what? I think I'm just gonna be like an old guy, like, hey, Grandpa, was everything better back then? I'm like, nah, not really. Everyone was a fucking idiot. There was a few bright spots, but that's like life. It was.
I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally, I agree.
If we're old men in a post-apocalyptic world,
I didn't know that this was gonna be a two-part Geeky Gentleman vid.
No, it's just here on Sid Part 2's channel we embrace the tangent.
Yeah. And so we just
let's go ahead and get back to.
No. Before we move on,
let's go ahead and get back to the board.
Before we move on. So basically, Bill is like a head in a jar with strapped in the gorilla body. I'm like, you know...
I'm totally cool with that, just saying. If you guys want that to be where I go, I'm cool with that.
No. I am like Lord Humongous, but a fat version of this big Lord No, I'm ripped. I'm Lord Humongous, but with his...
You're like the girl from that scene in, what was that movie with Nathan Fillion and the Slither? You're like the girl from Slither.
Oh, Christ.
I think there's something wrong with me.
And Ian's, I don't know what Ian is. He's like...
I would have said, Milan, when you said you're Lord Humongous, I would have said you're more like Lord Enormous.
I love this.
No, I'm obviously the skeletal leader of the Resistance.
Ian's the leader of the mutants, of those councils at the end of Doctor Who Season 3.
No. He's the leader of the Morlocks.
Oh.
Yes! I totally want to be that guy.
And I'm just like this giant lord. I'm the king of the brothels. I'm like, people, just these big muscular black guys wheel me around in this giant...
And we're not going to talk about what Deadpoolzilla is, because he keeps his personal life really, really secretive.
I'm like this elephantine. I'm in this giant carriage.
Milan, we get what you are.
I want to be like Adam West in Futurama. I just want to sit in a jar.
We've already decided what you are, Bill. You're a head in a jar strapped to a gorilla's body.
Okay. I think my future self would be literally like I'd be so like all that would be left of me is a brain in a giant cyborg's body, like Kane from RoboCop 2.
Or Dr. Wheelo from World's Strongest from the Dragon Ball Z movies.
Or Kang from the Ninja Turtles movie.
You mean...
Okay.
You mean Krang?
Let's get back to the board, gentlemen. Let's get back to the board. See what I did there, because it's Game of Thrones.
Well, I think we've covered everything, Ian.
Well, I wanted to talk just a little bit more, if you don't mind. I don't care about long videos. Anyway, so... like, we've been praising the hell out of it. I wanted to see if there were any complaints that anyone had about Season 1. And not, I mean, there's gonna be a general complaint of they really set a lot of stuff up that they're not paying off in the first season, and fair enough, but they definitely pay that off later down the line. Just anything anything besides that.
I would say that some of the scenes with Khal Drogo last a little bit too long, because, and I get that a lot of them do relate to the themes of the story, but that of all of the different stories definitely relates to what's going on across the Narrow Sea the least. And when we jump over there, it's usually interesting, but it's like, and then we're jumping over to the wall, and that's kind of relating to what's going on with the actual game, so to speak. And sometimes it's a little distracting. But that's kind of like, I don't know how well they could fix that and still have the story that they did have.
See, I don't think that you could really cut a lot of that stuff without realizing why Daenerys loves him.
I agree. But the Khal himself, he's not a very interesting and deep character. He's not supposed to be. He's a fucking warrior, but he doesn't have a lot of dialogue. But it's like some of the scenes with him, I feel like they drag a little bit.
Fair enough.
I love it.
That's really it. I mean, aside from the general, medieval stuff, that's not for me. But otherwise, I really have no specific complaints.
I love it when Count Drogo rips a tongue out of a guy's throat.
Oh, that was fucked up, but yeah.
There's some awesome fight scenes in this shit, though.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, that scene with the sword fight above the giant pit. I mean, like, that seems, if I were to tell you, watch Game of Thrones, is there some cool action? Not a ton, but I mean, there's a sword fight over an endless pit. I mean, like, how often does that actually work in a story?
Well, Empire Strikes Back.
Fair enough. No, it works for me in that sense. But Milan, how about you? Any general complaints?
In the beginning, it was a little hard to get into it because, well, it wasn't really nothing wrong with the show. It's just I wasn't really in that whole medieval mood. But the thing is, I guess there's a little credit to the show. It really got me into this world, whether I liked it or not. So, no, it seemed pretty alright.
I agree. I kind of agree with Milan in that respect. It forced me to like it, just because of how well crafted it is.
All right, Deadpoolzilla.
I really have no problem with the show. I mean, my problems come up in Season 2. Season 1 is very solid for me.
Yeah. And my problem with the show is a quote I got from Bobby. The only thing wrong with Game of Thrones is that there is not enough of it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I mean, honestly, some of the actresses, particularly the ones that get naked, with the exception of Daenerys, are kind of flat. You know, they don't really... Ha.
Ian, internet high five.
Breast.
Unintentional pun. No, but they don't really emote that well. You know, that's a problem. You know, in Hollywood, you don't get a lot of respect if you take your clothes off, so it's hard to get good actresses to do that. They get the best that they could for a television show, for, you know, walk-on, walk-off parts.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of them don't really work out that well. Others are okay, you know.
But you know what
I feel like HBO just kind of took some of the... I feel like HBO just kind of took some of the actresses that were on sets of their, you know, late-night porno shoots and just like, hey,
that's great.
come over here and just fake an orgasm real quick and say these lines.
Yeah, let me just to that point. They have a better shot at getting good actresses who would be willing to do that because I watched the documentary, and this is going to sound really weird. I watched the documentary on the making of Piranha 3D, and the director was talking about how there's a lot of fucking nudity in the movie, and you either have to get porn stars or you get girls from the UK because they're a lot more, you know, willing to expose themselves over there. So I think that in that respect, and not everyone in this naturally has a British accent. Like, the guy who plays Robert does not naturally have a British accent. But a lot of them do.
It up quite well, actually.
Oh, he faked it great. But he doesn't now. He's an American actor through and through. And a great character actor. But they have a better shot that way than if this was like an American show with an American cast without the British accents. So they have that going.
Hold on. Is Robert, like the old king, is he Sully from Monsters Inc.?
No, that's John Goodman.
All
they
right.
both played Fred Flintstone.
John Goodman would have been an amazing King Robert.
But Milan, you're not far off. They both played Fred Flintstone in live action.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway,
Two shitty movies.
All right. So are we done here?
I just wanted to go through real quick and get a 1 out of 5 from everybody.
Wait, you're rating it that low? What?
A 1 out of...
1 to 5 ratio. That's what
yeah,
like,
sorry.
what?
Sorry.
I think you love this thing.
It's 1 in the morning. I'm tired, Bill. How's that for dating it? Anyway, yeah, 1 through 5. Sorry.
Dating it specifically now.
Yeah, and Bill, I'm gonna put all the pressure on you because you're the one that always criticizes what our ranking system is. So go.
Okay. I'm going to give it 4 Nah, fuck it. It deserves a 5. I'm going to give it 5 dragon eggs out of 5.
Okay. Deadpoolzilla?
I'm gonna give it 5 horribly tortured, horribly decapitated Ned Stark's heads out of 5.
Oh.
Bring it down, man. Oh,
Jesus.
I love Ned
Well, like,
Stark.
that's a weird rating system because, like, ratings are supposed to be positive, like, you know, stars and stuff, and you pick, like, a mutilated, decapitated head.
No, just imagine Ned Stark getting it decapitated 5 times in a row. Like, they cut his head off and sew it back and do it again.
He needs.
Well, I like
he
that
needs
they-
a-
I
he
like
needs
that
a
they
spin-off
actually
series
managed to
like
get it
Goku
in-
Another World where he's just a ghost.
Mm.
I would watch.
I like that, what's his name? I can't remember the knight's name, but the guy that decapitates him. I like that he gets it in one stroke. I mean, that's at least admirable.
Yeah, I mean, especially for
That scene would have been significantly more brutal if it took multiple strokes of that sword to cut off Ned's head.
right, and they do it for the cliffhanger because they don't show it explicitly at the end of episode 9.
Well, I don't think Sean Bean wanted to be shown getting decapitated. That's a really hard thing to do. His
Alright, you see his head, so what's the difference?
So, Ian, what do you rate this?
I give it 5 Iron Thrones out of 5.
That thing looks so badass. I want that as a chair.
Where would you put it?
I want.
In my car, I would just like I would take out all the seats of my car and put it in the middle
Well,
of
like,
my
what I
seat.
love about the idea is, and I'm sorry to keep giving history that wasn't in the show, but I just find this stuff really interesting, that you don't get it in the show, from what I can tell, at least. The guy that made the throne, Aegon, the guy that originally brought all 5 kingdoms to, under his heel at, King's Landing.
Not the atomic dragon. Sorry.
No, and is the ancestor of the Mad King. He built the Iron Throne, and he made it uncomfortable. Like, people constantly get, like, cut, and, you know, like, it's very uncomfortable, because he didn't want it to be easy or leisurely to lead the kingdom.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
So
That's really cool. I love that. I love that concept.
Yeah. How about you, Milan?
Rating that?
Yep.
I give it 5 dwarfs out of 5. I was gonna
Alright.
say whores. I was gonna say whores, but I'm like, you know what? I have more class than that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna choose.
Totally. Without
Alright,
shadow
so here's what we're gonna do. I just thought of this, and if with your approval, and you're going to approve of it, because I am the king, and I have commanded it of you. With your approval, gentlemen, we're gonna introduce a new concept. Since we're rating things with these clever little, nouns now, I figure we should have the commenters vote on who's got the most clever rating system, or who's got the coolest rating system, what have you, in the comments, and winner will get, I don't know, we don't have the funds to be able to send each other candy bars or Cokes.
Yeah,
What's something good to bet on for best rating system?
Our souls?
No.
No.
I would
Or
prefer
soaps.
not to do
No.
that.
Oh, come on, just like something
Okay.
clever. Like, we don't have to actually send each other stuff, just something like fun or cool or whatever.
Compliments. Genuine compliments.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'll
that's-
throw one out. The opportunity to steal another person's topic for a week. I don't know, something like that.
No,
I-
it shouldn't be something that...
I can dig that.
Well, how about this? If one person gets... The first person to 5 votes gets to steal a topic.
Yeah, I like that. I like that concept.
Okay.
And they
all
can
right,
do
there
it
we go.
whenever. It doesn't have to be the next week. They can throw it on you whenever.
Yeah.
Like, so we're right in the middle of doing, like, we're about to start doing a video, and then just randomly Bill comes in, no, we're actually reviewing this!
No, you have to do it. Okay, at the end of each episode, when the person is about to say it, we'll just say, no, we're not. I'm using my steal this week.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that'll be fun. Since we go up,
Yeah,
we do a 5 rating system, that'll be fun.
Since we hate each other anyway, that's it'll work.
Yeah.
I don't hate you guys. I love you guys. You're like my brothers.
And, like, we never get any... We never get any comments, so I doubt that we'll ever get to 5, but it's a good thing to throw in and add a little dynamic to the show.
Yeah.
Since we've got, we're doing a show about, like, this thing that's backstabbing and cunning, so it seems good that we should have some competition added
Yeah.
now.
And I feel like if we were ever a band, guys, I feel like if we were ever like a rock band, I feel like we'd break up after the second album.
Thank you.
Foreshadowing.
Nah, we just did a retrospective, and Geeky Gentlemen will never end. This is the last episode of this.
Oh god, that would be the. Oh man, I die at Virginia Beach this weekend. Oh god.
Well, no, I thought it was funny that, like, after doing the 1-year retrospective, it's like the last episode for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
And,
know,
like,
right? We took a 2-week hiatus, and then when we came back, we made like like brief mention of the fact that we were gone.
Yeah, I mean, like, how I was thinking about that. Like, what if I'm not well enough to do it the third week in a row, and then for like whatever reason I'm never able to get the guys back together again, and then the 1 year retrospective where we say no, we have no plans for ending the show is the last episode. That would have been
perfect though. We would have done exactly 1 year of the
Yeah,
show. So
you guys-
no one could give a shit.
Yeah, you guys could have done like a teaser, like like Ian is making this huge teaser of like something like it had like it's like that scene in Ron Burgundy where he's like, "New geeky gentlemen, assemble!" And then it cuts away to Milan and Bill, and they're just like, "We're over here, Ian."
We've been here for 2 hours. We've been playing Parcheesi. Milan has cheated several times now. I'm losing interest.
I have.
Milan cheats at the game, therefore making him the one that may win, and Bill the one that dies. Anyway, so I'm all good on things about Game of Thrones Season 1, and I'm hoping, I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm hoping that I got the two of you into it enough that you'll watch Season 2 or Season 3, and we'll end up doing a video on that. In the future. So we'll see.
I imagine I'll watch the rest of it at some point.
Okay. Well, then I've done my job. That's the thing I've noticed about the show, if you'll indulge me for a few minutes. Like, I was having this conversation with Bill. With the exception of the My Little Pony episode, sorry, Deadpoolzilla. With the exception of the My Little Pony episode, no one ever chooses a review subject that is meant to make us suffer. You ever notice that? We just try to get each other into these things that we like.
Yeah, I like that about it.
Yeah. There's not enough suffering going on, so I think I'll have to pick something painful next time.
Oh, guys, as a enthusiast of crappy monster movies, don't even dare me.
Oh yeah, because totally the Mysterians would destroy them.
No, the
Mysterians. We should have
nothing. Are you kidding me? Oh god,
we should do a month.
I could drop some Creature from the Haunted Sea on these motherfuckers. Some Aegon the Atomic Dragon. Oh.
Well, you know what? You know what, guys? I think sometime down the line, not like next week or anything. I think sometime down the line we should do a review month, and it's just gonna be called Vengeance Week, and we're just gonna each pick a bad movie and review it, and like just make each other watch it.
Oh,
no, I think that's fun.
If that's the case, don't invite me. Do not invite me because I can find some terrible movies for you.
Okay.
Ian, I think we should do commentary for that instead of review.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, let's do that. All right.
What about me?
Shut up. You just go. You just nod your head.
That will come in. Milan, would that be something you'd want to do?
Sure. I'd love to do whatever you guys are doing.
Why the fuck did you even complain?
Because he wanted to be involved. He's like a little kid.
There's a lot of like fighting going on tonight, guys. Come on, I'm going on vacation for a week. I want to leave with
Deadpoolzilla. God.
Okay, anyway.
Sweet
Come on,
young
guys. I
man
got my
I knew.
tacky Hawaiian shirt on. I got my sunglasses. I want to leave in good spirits.
Okay, guys. You guys. All right, listeners. You have bad movie commentary week to look forward to. That should actually be a lot of fun. Or month, I'm sorry, to look forward to. So we'll do that sometime down the line. Anyway, let's fucking wrap this video up. Milan, what are we discussing next time?
Well, what we are discussing is, can somebody get tired of a certain... Can comic book movies and comic books in general, can somebody be burnt out on superheroes and comic books? Can somebody get just burnt out on superhero movies or superhero comics or any sort of comics?
So we'll
can somebody
get sick of the genre.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Interesting topic. I can't wait.
All right, I'm excited for that. That should be fun. We'll spin our wheels on that one next time. And until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Fanatic.
And I am the Madman with Deadpoolzilla.
And I'm just here.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
Indeed we shall.